Right now, if you get bored, you know exactly what happens. Your hand reaches for your phone before you even make a decision. You open an app you already opened 12 seconds ago. You scroll past strangers, ads, arguments, food videos, crime stories, people dancing in kitchens, and a guy explaining why your shower head is probably full of bacteria. You do all of that because your brain felt one tiny moment of emptiness and immediately treated it like a medical emergency. But for almost all of human history, none of those exits existed. No phone, no internet, no television, no radio, no printed books for most people, no headphones, no streaming, no little rectangle in your pocket offering infinite distraction every time your thoughts got too quiet. So what did ancient humans do when they got bored? At first, the question almost sounds stupid, because the easy answer is that they probably did not have time to be bored. They had to hunt, gather, make tools, protect children, prepare food, repair shelters, watch for predators, survive bad weather, and generally deal with the fact that nature was basically a giant unpaid internship with teeth. That picture makes sense in our heads. Ancient life feels like it should have been non-stop danger, non-stop work, non-stop. Please do not let that animal notice me. But that is where the question starts getting weird, because ancient humans were not machines built only for survival. They were people. They had long evenings. They had waiting time. They had repetitive work. They had quiet moments after food was collected, after tools were repaired, after the fire was going, after the day had already given them everything useful it was going to give. And when humans have empty time, we almost never leave it empty. We start making things. That might be the most important clue. Tens of thousands of years ago, people were painting animals, hands, symbols, and strange markings on cave walls. Some of these paintings were not sitting right at the entrance, where someone could quickly doodle a horse and go back outside. They were deep inside caves, in dark spaces that required fire, planning, effort, and a very strong belief that whatever they were doing mattered. Nobody crawls into a cave with a torch and paints a giant animal on the wall because they are casually killing 5 minutes before dinner. Something else was happening there. Maybe the paintings were spiritual. Maybe they were stories. Maybe they were teaching tools. Maybe they were memories of hunts, dreams, animals, fears, or places that mattered. We cannot ask the artists, which is honestly one of the most frustrating things about prehistory, because the people who left the most interesting evidence also refused to leave a behind-the-scenes commentary track. But whatever those paintings meant, they show us something powerful. Ancient humans had moments where survival was not the only thing on their mind. They had enough space in their lives to imagine, symbolize, decorate, and turn blank stone into something that still makes people stop and stare thousands of years later. That is not just art history. That is boredom becoming culture. Because boredom is not really nothing. It feels like nothing. But inside the brain, boredom is more like pressure building up. Your mind wants stimulation. It wants meaning. It wants novelty. It wants a problem to solve, a story to follow, a pattern to notice, or a reason to care about the next minute. When the world does not provide that, the brain starts looking around for something it can turn into meaning. This is why humans decorate things that already work. Spear point can be sharp without being beautiful. A pot can hold food without patterns. A tool can do its job without lines, carvings, beads, colors, or tiny details that took extra time. Ancient people still added them. That tells us something strange about ourselves. We do not only want things to function, we want them to feel human. You can see the same instinct today when people put stickers on laptops, customize their phone screens, choose a profile picture like the entire internet is about to judge their soul, or spend way too long designing a video game character they will mostly see from behind. And then there was music. Some of the oldest known musical instruments are flutes made from bone and ivory, tens of thousands of years old. Think about how strange that is for a second. At some point, someone looked at a hollow bone and did not just see trash, they imagined sound. That is a wild little leap. Music does not fill your stomach by itself. It does not build a shelter. It does not stop winter from showing up like an unpaid landlord. Yet humans made music anyway, and every known human culture has some form of it. That suggests music is not just entertainment sprinkled on top of life. It does something deeper. It bonds people. It helps memory. It sets rhythm for movement. It gives emotion a shape. It lets a group feel the same thing at the same time, which is probably more important than it sounds when your entire world is a small group of people who need to trust each other. A song around a fire was not just background noise. It was a way to turn time into togetherness. And that brings us to the fire, because fire may have been the original boredom machine in the best possible way. Before fire, night was dangerous. Once the sun went down, moving around around was a terrible idea because humans do not see very well in the dark compared to predators. Fire changed the night. It created warmth, protection, light, and most importantly, extra hours. Suddenly, the day did not fully end when the sun disappeared. There was a glowing circle where people could sit and tell stories. The campfire was not just ancient lighting, it was the first living room. During the day, conversation had to stay practical. Where is the food? Who is going where? Which tracks did someone see? What needs fixing? Who is watching the children? Daytime talk was tied to action. Night changed the mood. Around the fire, there was less pressure to solve the next immediate problem. People could talk about things that were far away, things that happened years ago, things that might happen later, things nobody had seen but everybody could imagine. That is where storytelling becomes huge. Before writing, stories were not just entertainment. They were memory storage. They carried warnings, rules, history, identity, and knowledge. A story could teach someone which animal to avoid, which place was dangerous, why the group did something a certain way, who their ancestors were, and what happened to the person who ignored good advice. A good story could survive longer than the person who told it. That means an ordinary, boring night could become something much bigger. Someone remembers a hunt. Someone exaggerates a little. Someone makes it funnier, scarier, easier to remember. Children listen. Adults correct details. The story gets repeated. Over time, it becomes part of the group. That is basically the ancient version of going viral, except the algorithm was firelight, memory, and whether the story was good enough for people to repeat without being forced. Ancient humans also played. This is one of the easiest things to forget, because when we imagine the past, we often imagine adults doing serious survival tasks with serious faces. But humans play everywhere. Children play even in difficult environments. Adults play too, even when life is hard. Ancient civilizations had board games thousands of years ago. Some games were about luck. Some were about strategy. Some were probably about gambling and the timeless human urge to accuse your friend of cheating, even when the rules were clearly made up by both of you 5 minutes earlier. That sounds silly, but games reveal something deep. Life already gives humans real problems. Food, danger, sickness, conflict, weather, death, all of that was already on the table. Yet humans still invented fake problems with rules and consequences that only mattered because everyone agreed they mattered. That is what a game is. It is controlled struggle. It turns boredom into suspense. It lets people compete without destroying the group. It gives the brain little drama to chew on when the day has gone quiet. Children did this naturally. A stick became a spear, then a horse, then a monster, then a magic object, depending on what the story needed. Kids copied adults, practiced skills, invented social rules, tested courage, and built imaginary worlds out of almost nothing. That was not wasted time. Play is training disguised as fun. It teaches movement, competition, language, problem solving, and imagination. When ancient children were bored, they were not just passing time, they were rehearsing life. Adults had their own versions of the same thing. They danced, wrestled, raced, gambled, joked, teased, watched each other, and probably gossiped with world-class commitment. Gossip gets treated like a trashy modern habit, but in ancient groups, social information mattered. Who could be trusted? Who was selfish? Who helped when things got hard? Who lied? Who was angry with whom? Who was acting strange? In a small group, that information could affect survival. So yes, some ancient boredom was probably people sitting around talking about other people's business, because humans did not need group chats to be messy. But there is another possibility that feels almost uncomfortable now. Ancient humans may have been better at boredom than we are. Modern boredom usually gets interrupted before it has time to become anything. The second there is silence, we fill it. The second our thoughts wander, we pull them back toward a screen. We rarely give boredom enough time to change shape. Ancient people had no choice. They had more waiting, more walking, more repetitive work, more darkness, more quiet, more time where the mind had to entertain itself. That sounds empty from our point of view, but the wandering mind is not useless. It replays the past. It imagines the future. It practices conversations. It connects ideas that did not seem connected before. It turns fear into myth, memory into story, rhythm into music, and blank stone into art. The same uncomfortable feeling we now escape instantly may have been one of the spaces where human creativity grew. So when we ask what ancient humans did when they got bored, the answer is not just that they painted caves, played games, made music, told stories. The deeper answer is that they used boredom as a doorway. They took empty time and filled it with meaning. They turned waiting into imagination, They turned darkness into stories. They turned random objects into games. They turned sound into music. They turned walls into memory. And maybe that is the part we should pay attention to. Because today, boredom feels like something to delete as fast as possible. We treat it like a glitch. We reach for distraction before the feeling can even explain itself. Ancient humans could not do that. They had to sit with the silence long enough for something to appear inside it. Maybe boredom was never just the absence of something to do. Maybe boredom was the moment the human mind started looking at an empty space and wondering what it could become.